Hello, my friends. It is, it's actually not Thursday. I'm in the middle of a move, so I'm not doing my normal setup right now, but we still got an Inside Star Citizen that came out yesterday, actually. I'm also now in Turkey, so time's different, and this unfortunately comes out in the middle of the time I'm sleeping, so these will be fresh in the morning for me now. Yippee. Anyways, let's see what they've got for this week, and it looks like it's going to be something good.
At the team, we will always wanted to make the derelict more enjoyable and fun for the player. The new addition of the planetary nav mesh make the designer able to put life on the location.
Before it was just kind of a ship just there on the ground, but what we wanted to do is to create a link between the ship and environment around.
Second Life. That's ironic. The whole game. The Planet Nav Mesh is the best thing coming in this next update. I'm making a video for it this week, but super big deal. I'm excited to see what they say about it here.
More like a settlement, to have like more story around them.
It's like walking in the woods and just sometimes you just found their old cars all rusty there with the leaves and the trees all around.
Does that happen?
That's the kind of feeling we wanted to do with the lyrics.
That'd be awesome if that, because I'm not an explorer.
For us designer, a lot of opportunity to make the location more FPS friendly with cover, more like mission friendly, so we can add stuff on top of that.
This looks very Halo Infinite to me.
When you will arrive at the
like the biome is very spot on for a lot of what we saw in Infinite, and the wreckage, it's just like it's the same feel, but this looks pretty good for a game area, just in the the general atmosphere.
On top of that,
when you will arrive at the crash, you will see a big trail on the ground. So if you look behind the ship, you will see all the big tree, but in the trail, all the trees will be small, and we're going to have just small rocks and grass, and it's the purpose the ship was there. When you go back in the ship, because you will be able to go back in the ship, you will rediscover the ship as you were before, but in the older version. That tell a lot.
Imagine if we could actually leave trails when our ships crashed, instead of just like bouncing off the ground, spinning for half a kilometer and then exploding.
Story about the old technology, kind of giving a second life to the ship. We got an update on the planetary nav mesh now on the planet, so we are allowed to put AI on the ground.
Putting NPC in this location that are park air, trying to take the best of the location, scavenging for resources.
So when you will arrive there, you will feel that some people living there since a long time. That's going to give you a feeling that all that place around is just kind of habitated by some people. The mission we're going to do on those ships, if it's a hostile mission, we're going to have some kind of faction there. Is living there, we'll just take control of the ship. And it's not a hostile mission, there's going to be a different kind of faction.
A faction that doesn't take over the ship. So this is looking good. You know what, let's keep going. Hold on.
Feedback we received on January when we start like showing the concept of the derelict settlement with the AI team for the planetary nav mesh and all the team in Turbulent. We was able to like create a habitation module. We have tools now to be able to generate and procedurally place all this work on the planet.
This looks like an EA demo.
The beginning of the long-term plan that we have in mind to populate and
E3.
add more and more location in the PU.
And I'm super proud of my team to doing that with the design team, the art team. We worked super hard, pretty proud of it, and I'm sure that people will enjoy it. Thanks, guys.
I really want to hear from the narrative team when it comes to this. I know this is the team that works on it, but like I really need to know that they're doing something narrative based with these, because you know, they talked about how, oh yeah, the trees make it look like it just crashed, and the wreckage make it looks like people have been living here. And I'm like, I need more messaging on that. Let me find like a data pad or something. Let me get some data from the crashed ship, like anything to give just a little bit more lore and backstory to these derelicts. I would have loved to hear about that.
The new inhabited derelict settlement for 3.17.2 is not the only one that will be present in this patch. We will let the player discover them and find them in the universe.
By data mining them?
The crashed reclaimer derelict settlements are just one of the new mission-enabled, gameplay-focused environments from Turbulent arriving in the upcoming Alpha 3.17.2. And we encourage you to explore the stands.
I wonder what these guys who are working in the background think of this. Just like, they're just shooting their community show. I wonder if any of them are Star Citizen fans. Like, you think some of these construction people go home and watch the video and they're like, yeah, that's me. Get their family around. Hey, look, I'm on Inside Star Citizen. Yeah, I would do that.
System and find additional ones on your own. Hint, some of them are still floating out in space. And when you're done exploring, the fine citizens of ORISON will need your help when the newest dynamic event pits the dreaded Ninetails against Crusader security forces. Now, while we'd prefer you discover most of the details for yourself on the PTU and live servers, we do have a brief introduction to perhaps the biggest and most elaborate mission in Star Citizen yet.
They've been talking about it on Monthly Report for months.
Siege of ORISON is an event where we take away all of your most overpowered toys, which are your ships. You actually have to use your reactions and your guns and your teammates to hopefully survive this.
Hold up, reactions? Excuse me. But I don't think my reactions do much when when the NPCs... I'd love to see some good performance here, is really where I'm going with that. Because if it depends on reactions, this game's got a little bit of work to do. Either way, I'm excited for it.
Perilous encounter.
We wanted to do what for FPS combat we did for ship combat with Xenothreat. Push
like
it
that.
to its extremes.
It's a good idea. We need that for sure. More diversity.
Without spoiling the event, the Siege of ORISON is a dynamic event which takes place around ORISON on some floating platforms owned by Crusader, and we shuttle players in to help out Crusader take back their islands.
When we was making the mission, we wanted to, first of all, we wanted to make a fun mission that pulled people in together to play together, experience something they might not have normally.
In most missions, you go up against 10 AI, and you really don't get challenged.
A lot of our missions do a lot of hand-holding, where we mark everything for the player, and, they can sort of disengage to...
Seriously, can I get a raised hand for every person who's gone into a bunker with a group and didn't even get to shoot someone because somebody just sprinted throughout the whole bunker, killed every person, and was like, oh, that was fun. And you're like, there's not enough content here for a group to play together. At least they know that.
To a level and just walk to a marker and, presume the rest of it. This one I wanted to kind of go, right, here's no markers. Now think and try figure it out for yourself.
Good.
The event is primarily a PvE mission. There are systems in place to discourage PvP.
Ooh.
It's not something we protect against because we want the players to protect themselves from it. We're not discouraging it, but we're not actively supporting it yet.
People have already pointed out the problem with it. Especially Morphologist was talking about this a couple weeks ago. It doesn't matter if this is a free game, right? Like, not free in price, but free to do what you want. Like they said, they're not going to block PvP, but they're going to allow people to do it. And the problem with PvP right now is that you can't reliably defend yourself from people without risking getting a crime stat. If somebody shoots your friend and kills them, you can't shoot that person yet until they get charges put against them and you're in the party with the person who got shot. That's just a lot of work, a lot of prerequisites to protect yourself. So I think they need to get that figured out sooner than later. It's probably going to be a problem at this event, probably going to be a problem going forward, as long as we have FPS stuff. So we'll have to see what they do.
There's a lot of new spaces we've made for ORISON, and working with design on the blockout, and still making sure it's all in keeping with what ORISON is.
Look at all the landing pads too. There's no way they're not going to use that the AI dropship tech at this event. They got to.
We looked at expanding the visual library of ORISON. What we really liked was the contrast of this kind of idyllic, relaxing garden platforms floating around and this kind of battle scarred, damage and things like that adding to them. So it was a lovely kind of contrast to put in.
We don't normally have content of this scale.
The main challenge, or the main challenges, were performance. By moving it far enough away from like the center, the city of Horizon, we managed to avoid most of that.
Having this here helped to improve and push performance because we found issues and we was able to quickly fix them. The experience I hope players get is enjoyment. Mostly, I want players to feel fun and create like emergent stories with their friends that they can, tell on Reddit or through videos and whatever. Just have fun, really.
I want them to see all the effort that has gone into like healing and gunplay and AI over the years.
Exactly. I just checked it out on the main channel. If you haven't, just put out a video called something like "This Change Could Make a Big Difference to Star Citizen," something like that. Talks exactly about that. They've been adding all these like little features here and there that are kind of fun in their own, but also not really useful. They need to keep adding these kinds of things, these missions and all this stuff that helps highlight the things they've been adding and bring them together. Thank you, Luke. It's a nice little call out.
May not notice fighting against a small amount of people.
Events in general are great because they pull people who might not play with each other together. You all feel like this comradeship trying to push forward against this enemy that you all have in common.
It's an experience unlike any other in this game.
So what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that those fantastic derelict concepts we showcased earlier this year are already making their way to the persistent universe, and that they're coming along with new missions and gameplay made possible by the new dynamic planetary nav mesh, and that the Siege of Orison is the next big step forward towards bringing additional gameplay to Star Citizen's existing landing zones. Don't forget, there are a number of contests going on for both Alien Week and our upcoming Battle of the Bricks, which will see the community teams from both Star Citizen and EVE Online come together in a live stream on July 22nd to raise money for charity. You can learn all about both of those things on the robertspaceindustries.com website. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. This is the very noisy 9th floor of the Manchester Goods Yard building, soon to be home for our Manchester studio. And what goes in the center here where all this noise is? It's going to be something to see when the time comes.
A bar of some sort, a little cafe. Great concentration, Jared.
Amanda, just use whichever one of these has the least interruptions. We're not going to get this clean. Pardon me.
They know. It's just too perfect. It was a good episode, though. The derelicts are something interesting to see. Tying that in with the navigation mesh, I think is good for people to know, because that's really the main... I mean, it's nice that we're getting new locations and new missions. Those are like the main focus in terms of that's what's most exciting, but to be honest, the biggest part of that is the navigation mesh, being able to get a place where it's actually being tested in the public, and after that, hopefully next patch they can start to expand it to other places, like maybe outside of bunkers. But that's cool stuff. Glad to see that. Also, Siege of Orison is looking pretty good. That location's looking cool, and I like that it's an FPS event in a large urban environment, something we haven't gotten. Definitely diverse compared to what we've played before, and it's gonna lead to new developments, I think, from testing. They haven't gotten to test something like this before, especially not with like the healing and the tractor beams and the stuff that we have right now. So interested to see how that goes. Overall, pretty solid episode, but I'll see you guys next week. Later.